Say it anymore, apparently.
Remember when you could say things?
Welcome to another ep. Today we have Ree and Mia on, which is so exciting. Haven't had guests on the potty in a little bit.
I love that you've been kicking it solo.
Yeah, I was just like, why not? It's nice to just refine the old voice and have a few chats. Yeah. We're in a little bit of a club called the Growers Club, which is something that Ree's put together where we kind of come together and talk through little processes and the things that we're coming head to head with, and Ree kind of guides us through that and gives us really like unbiased perspectives, and then we also hear from the other girls, hear opinions and things like that. So that was game changer, that. Like, miss it.
Mm.
When it stopped, I was just like, wow.
I felt like something was missing a little
Yeah.
bit. Yeah, it was amazing.
Well, starting next year
It's going
again, so
back.
that'll be fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think for me as well, and it's interesting, I know like part of the thing that like brings us together is community. As much as I'm like facilitating it, I'm also not like I'm part of it and like learning just as much, and then
Cool.
you know, it's never one-sided. I feel like we're all equally sharing, and it's fun having a space to dance in.
So the topics today are actually going to be surrounding community and spirituality, and probably tap into relationships. What actually is spirituality to you? What does it look and feel like? Yeah, a lot of people are just like curious about it or just completely shut off to it. If someone was to be like, I want to get into spirituality, how would they sort of go about it?
So to me, spirituality is just realizing that we're bigger than what we are. And whether that's from the simplest form of if you think you can, you can, you think you can't. And like, I guess developing our own magic that this life is really what you want to make it. I think a lot of people, my dad included, bless your cotton socks, is so atheist. But what he doesn't realize is he actually subscribes to a church as well. It's just the church of the material world and realism and this, that, and the other. And I'm like, yeah, sure, there's laws of physics that need to be abided by, but there's also cosmic laws. And if I only ever stuck to what was realistic, you know, I'd probably live in a housing commission house and have a few broken down Commodores out the front. But it's not what I wanted to believe, right? So it was like I knew that it was up to me to change my circumstances and that I can do whatever the heck I want. But I also understand that nothing comes for free. So if I want something, I know that it's going to cost me, whether that's my time, my presence, my energy, my finance, my whatever. And I think that interestingly, in the age of individualism, we all want everything to come to us. Whether it's community, whether it's work, whether it's this, and it's like, yeah, but what are you giving? Because there is a law of reciprocity, and it's, you know, and if you are never giving, why would you receive? You're polarizing your experience. But then, you know, obviously spirituality can go as big as you want, and there's obviously lots of different things available, whether it is institutionalized, whether it is self-based, whether it's community-based, or whether it's just realizing that the divinity of the world, whether or not it's appreciating Mother Nature, whatever. I think for me, spirituality is just, you actually said it earlier, you made a comment of like, you know, sorry, these aren't your exact words, so please correct me, but what I heard is basically, do you want a beige life or like two-dimensional?
Yeah.
Or do you want to realize that we actually live in a sphere?
Yeah.
And how do you want to do the dance?
Yeah. What's it to?
Yeah, it's funny how you went like that. It's like you go up into the cosmos or into like the mind and the beyond. And it's the questioning and all the amazing things that kind of come with that. And then and the down is like the depth into self. Like I find that like spirituality to me is just being able to like sit with self and like dig and like go into that space.
Generally, when spiritualism can be represented like that, it's actually really similar to your analogy, and I like that fact of like, you know, going inwards, but it's like the bottom triangle is the lower nature of man, which is individual self, all those sorts of things. And it's interesting because in the age of individualism, we have lost a lot. But part of me is like, okay, well, if maturity equals how deeply do I know myself, I need to get to know myself. So therefore, I need to play into individualism. I need to play into that. But the danger is just remember it's a game.
Yeah.
If we get all righteous or we just stay in individualism, it's a really, really narrow thing. But it's like, I don't know, if you want to be a painter but you only ever paint with red, it's like cool, but like, you know, once you nail red, maybe try something else.
Yeah.
If you want your artistic expression, which is life, if you want that canvas to have all colours, all shapes, all dimensions, but if you're just happy with red, and that's the Ram Dass analogy of if you're only obsessed with the physical plane, all you'll ever see is physical.
Yeah.
So if all you ever see is physical, you'll notice, you know, what shape people's bodies are, what's this, what's that. Like, and, you know, obviously we can all do that, but like it becomes an obsession. But it is like just having 2 channels on your TV. And it's like channel 9, channel 7, channel 9, channel 7. And then Ram Dass says, you know, it's like when we realise that there are all these other realms going on, it's like getting cable.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you have all these dimensions and depths to your experience. But, you know, no different to cable. There's going to be some channels that you're not that fond of. Or some channels that, you know, previously you might have been like, oh my gosh, this TV show drives me crazy. And then 10 years later, you're like, I love it.
I just wrote down what value has spirituality brought to your lives.
Oof.
It's changed my whole life.
Mm.
Yeah. I think that if I hadn't have had the influences that I had, you know, right from a really early age, I think that life would have crippled me.
Mm.
Yeah, I think that I would be a very alone, angry person. And honestly, basically just victim consciousness. Just hating myself, hating the world, why me, blah, blah, blah. So I think to have some of those keys turn and, yeah, literally to wake up, I think I would have led a very sleepy life. And, you know, it's interesting, I was actually joking to my auntie about it last night. She was talking about how there was this bully at her workplace, and then she noticed as soon as the bully left, she volunteers at a bookstore. One of the women that was previously really kind turned into a bully, and she was like, and what I realised, if I didn't reconcile that within me, it didn't matter where I was going to go in life, I was going to find a bully.
Yeah.
And we were joking, saying, yeah, but the thing that sucks about those realizations and realizing that something bigger is happening, it's not just a bully.
Yeah.
It means like, oh fuck, I've actually got to take responsibility.
Yeah.
I've got to take responsibility for, even if it's responsibility of how am I going to manage myself, or how am I going to manage the bully, or how am I going to, I'm not saying that that situation doesn't exist. You see those patterns play out in your life, and until you're willing to actually look at it, I always say it's like having a dirty kitchen bench, right? And you can put whatever tea towel you want over the top. You still have a dirty bench because you haven't wiped it. So like, do you want to wipe your bench, or do you want to put towels over it? And it doesn't really matter what your answer is, but like, yeah, how's life reflecting back to you? Yeah, it forces you to take responsibility, but then I'm like, but then there's nothing more liberating, because you just, I was going to say powerful. You discover your own power, whether or not it's your own resilience, whether or not it's your own whatever, because then the more you are managing, not necessarily controlling, but managing your own experience, or using it as a thing to go inwards or upwards, or wherever you are using that as a vehicle to, it's like you've got a car rather than, you know, stuck and no buses. You live in a no bus area. So yeah, it's changed my entire reality and my experience with the world, and I'm eternally grateful for it.
So nice. What about you, Caps?
It's been the thing that's kept me digging, kept me curious, and the faith has always been there since picking up spiritual practices. I think I've had moments where I've been like too deeply into it and just like not really grounded. But now I'm like, wow, this is so fun to play with it and to be like, yeah, the more clear you are, the more you're just like blown away by the spiritual realms, and like I just can't even believe and fathom on the daily the things that happen now. I'm like, what the
Yeah, I love that. And like, it's like when you're saying that, it like that's what makes me believe in magic. I remember years ago thinking, oh, I really want to learn more. It's like something really vague about neuroscience or something, and I was like, I really want to learn more about that. The next day, I had this client come in, never met them before, and I was like, oh yeah, cool, you know, blah blah blah. And they're like, oh, I'm a neuroscientist. And I was like,
Wow.
and just that thing of like also freaking out, going like, am I a wizard? Like the whole like asking you shall receive thing, and then just also someone said to me once, oh Rihanna, your life will be everything you've asked for, and I was like, what have I asked for? Like,
but it's true.
Like, do I get the receipt? Because like, yeah, and then it's that thing of be careful what you wish for. I actually quite like a lot of those old sayings when you see them.
And the song.
Yeah.
Right. It's true.
Yeah, totally. But then it's like, cool, this is magic, and that's why I'm like, I just don't want 2 channels on my telly. I don't want to just paint in red. I don't want to like,
Little.
yeah. And it's so exciting.
Mm.
I had a funny thing like that the other day. I was like, I want to work. I heard that you can do this thing where before bed, you say what you want and then it'll come quick. So I was like, I want to work with the Period Undies brand. And then woke up next morning, Period Undies brand in my
Wow.
Gmail. Hara just saying, hey, we've just been doing normal undies and now we're doing Period Undies. We want to offer you this. And I'm just like,
Yeah.
Yeah. So from like a technicality perspective, what's happening there, like in the universe, and
Great
like
question.
what, like, could you explain what that is?
Well, I don't know because I'm not a quantum physicist.
well,
really?
is it
But-
it's quantum physics in
quantum.
action.
Yeah.
It's like basically vibrating matter or particles, or like attracts like.
Mm.
So it's like whether or not you to call it like the mirror or whatever it is, but it's like if I'm holding that frequency, then chances are I can attract that frequency.
Mm.
Whereas I think like one of the biggest misconceptions is that opposites attract. It's like generally they don't. They can short term, but then they'll repel really quick.
Mm.
Which is, you know, for instance, if I'm like, oh, cool, I'm a guru and whatever, I might falsely lead some people into that, but then sooner or later they're going to realize I'm a sham.
Mm.
So, you know, I think you can like fake vibration to a degree, but not for very long.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's where I think it's important. The more that you've worked on that lower triangle of man, the more that you can flip it upwards. If you haven't worked in here,
Mm.
you can't flip that triangle and go up there. I mean, you
Yeah.
can, but it's pretty. You'll keep crashing.
Yeah.
Playing with one wing.
Yeah.
Mm.
I've seen a lot about obviously like law and attraction and manifestation. And one of the things is like you can sit there and think, I want to work with a Period Undie brand.
Mm.
But then there's almost this element like you've got to feel it as well.
Oh, yeah.
You have to vibrate at that frequency.
Because if you don't flee,
yeah.
it's just like I want $1 million. It's like,
Yeah.
so what, Rihanna?
Mm.
It's a bit like someone saying, I want to date you, Mia.
Mm.
As if you want to be like, please.
Yeah.
Whereas if I'm like, hey, Mia, I want to take you out. I want to show you a good time. I want to da-da-da-da-da.
Yeah.
It's like, even if you're in a partnership or whatever, there might be a tiny part of you that might be like, oh, look, that'd be fun, but no thanks.
Mm.
But you would feel something rather than like, if it's not a felt experience or there's no words behind it. And that's, once again, the giving thing. It's like, if I want to take you out, I want to give to you.
Mm.
I want to like, whereas if I'm just like, hey, Mia, I want to take you out because you're hot.
Mm.
You're like, so fucking what?
Yeah, like the ask has to have substance.
Yeah.
And depth.
They've done this study where they show people photos like a happy little puppy and they're already measuring the positive feelings in the person before the photos come out, and then they're already measuring the negative feelings in the scary photo of the dead dog.
Yeah.
So it's like you feel the feeling before it's already happened.
Yeah.
What Ikeda Sensei always talks about it, it's like the mountain and then the snow cap on the top is like our perceived experience, but there's all of this other stuff that's going on. And, you know, I guess some schools of thought say that time doesn't exist, and so past, present, and future are simultaneously going on. So your bottom of your mountain has already received that information, no different to, same dopamine and chocolate. I get the dopamine before I eat it.
Oh, literally.
It's not actually when you eat the chocolate. So
Yeah.
it's really interesting to be like, a lot of the time in process-oriented psychology that I study, they talk about basically your dreaming, like the dreaming reality or the fourth dimension, is in constant relationship with you, trying to communicate with you. A lot of us block it out. But sometimes you will dream things like that to prepare you. So it's like, hey, here's the warning, so that basically when that happens, you're a tiny bit more prepared.
Yeah.
Because you've had an opportunity to be like, oh, cool, how would I play that, rather
Yeah.
than just freezing or whatever. And I mean, it can mean a multitude of things. That's why I'm like, as if you wouldn't be a bit spiritual to understand that we're not just the physical, because once again, how delicious. So like,
Makes it so much more interesting.
it is interesting, you know, when someone says like, oh, you know, when they're really adamant about like, oh, you know, because my partner's the opposite, and you know, it's like they might be showing you opposite parts of yourself for sure, but like I don't hang out with murderers personally, and if opposites attracted, I'd hang out with murderers.
Yeah.
So, but I don't. I hang out with like-minded people.
Yeah.
I think that's the easiest example to be like, cool, if I'm at that vibration and I feel it, and I'm willing to give to it, whether or not that's I want to work with a period underwear brand and I'm going to shoot it awesome, or I'm going to do this, or I'm going to whatever, because I'm passionate about that. Why wouldn't the universe go, oh yeah, cool.
I just wanted free period undies, literally. That was it. I just don't like the Woolies ones.
Name drop.
Yeah.
Hara. Everyone's got to know Hara. It's the best. Top of the crop, literally. I actually have a little cheeky question surrounding past lives. When it comes to past lives, I just deeply believe it, but I just don't understand how to quantify it.
To me, largely, I think its relevance is in a karmic sense, because it's like, you know, we need to play it out. We need to play it out. We need to play it out. And unless you've been on every side of the coin, how can you play it out?
Yeah.
So I guess to put all that succinctly, I would just speak to one of my experiences of it was brought to my attention that my brother was my father in a past life.
Yeah.
And so, you know, and at that time I was very much like, "Ooh." But it made sense to me in that moment, even though I hadn't really spent much time reflecting on whether that was true, not true, whatever. It was like, oh, energetically, my brother still sometimes stands into that role.
Yeah.
And, you know, gets real fathery.
Yeah.
Not anymore, but at the time that was brought up, that for me, it gave me context. So it would be like, cool, it's coming up that in your past life, your brother, you know, was your father.
Yeah.
You know, do you experience any kind of energetic that could be similar to that? Or, you know, whatever, if you want to just gain more value of that person's experience. A yogi once said to me, it's a huge misconception that people are born innocent. They're not.
Yeah.
They're born with something to do here.
Yeah.
And for me, that's true. So the fact that we're born with something to do here, we're born with, from a process-oriented psychology perspective, we're born with a life myth, which is more like means life legend, and discovering that legend, playing out that legend, and ironically playing the opposite of that legend will help us reconcile our experience in this human life. And then once again, the more we know ourselves, the more maturity we have, the more that we can actually wield magic.
The Alchemist is a really beautiful book that talks about the personal legend.
Yeah.
They get together.
Yeah. And and I think that book is really good, as in, one of the things that I like about it is when he is like, I think he's with Fatima at the time, and he's like, you know, but can't I just stay here, set up camp and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And then the Alchemist is like, if you don't follow the omens, they stop speaking to you. And I think that's one of the things that, you know, a lot of the time we'll lose in childhood, is when that magic is either beaten out of us, left behind, whatever, and we choose not to re-pick that up. The omens do stop speaking to you, and then that's when you see people living very narrow lives, and generally they're not very happy.
Yeah, that was like my kind of thought when you asked the question around people's openness. I will never forget this. When I think I would have been like 5 or 6. I had older cousins, and they were watching a really scary movie, like The Poltergeist or something like that, and it really fucked with me. And I remember my uncle sitting me down, and he said, if you don't think about the spirits, they're there, they're everywhere. You don't think about those evil spirits, they won't come near you. Unless you think about them and you open your mind's gate to them, they can't touch you. And I feel like that's kind of like people's openness to the idea of a past life, or the connection of their past life. Like,
This is true.
unless they turn the tap on
Yeah.
and consciously decide to let that
So,
in, and search,
yeah.
they won't ever feel it, access it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is a really good point. And I think that it's also that thing of, also a lot of people don't want to search, whether or not they, you know, don't have the courage to, don't care to, whatever. But I think it's nice if they, as you said, just let it be a possibility.
Yeah.
Just let it be a possibility.
That's not to say
It's-
you've got to go like, you know, put salt on the ground and like chant and stuff. It's
I'm
just
just
more
gonna
like,
get the candle
if I'm not open to the possibility of it being real or believing in it, then I'll never access whatever it is.
I was trying to think today of like, what are my really staunch views? Things that are just like non-negotiable. Do you guys have any full non-negotiables in life?
Ooh.
Can you care to share?
I think it's more just in my relationships that if growth isn't possible, I don't really want a relationship.
Yeah.
And I know that that's also a very narrow way, and I'm interested to see if that changes over my life.
Narrow.
that's like a non-negotiable for me, as far as I don't really want to be in a room with you if I can't go anywhere. And but also I think that a lot of people feel that way, but then they don't let the other do the same.
Yeah.
So to me, it's like not about being righteous, you know, like
Yeah.
if you want to be completely church devote or this or that, just because I'm not, I still want to be in a room with you, no worries.
Yeah.
But I'd like to be able to talk about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'd like to have these conversations, not
Yeah.
as a argument or a polarization. But yeah, to me, that's that thing of, like my dad, for instance, as I said, it's like, you know, he thinks he's not in church, but he hits subscribe to materialism so hard that he does exactly what he blames people in the church for. As far as like, you know, I don't even have conversations with him about it, but he'll just like come up and antagonize me and be like, prove it, Rihanna, prove it, prove it, prove it. And I'm like, it's a stalemate, Dad. You can't prove that it's not real either. Like, and I don't actually want to have these conversations with you because it's not a conversation.
That's
It's
not even
righteousness.
fun. Yeah.
And so to me, it's like I want to be able to go everywhere, and I want you the same. I don't need to change you or convince you or, you know, whatever, because that's half the thing of I love being wrong. You know, when you can be staunch or something,
Yeah.
and someone will say one line and you're like, holy shit, I've never thought of it that way, and that is such a cool way.
It's the best.
And actually, thank you for humbling me and opening my perspective.
Yeah.
So I think that that's a general non-negotiable in my relationships. Is like I want the freedom to go anywhere, and I want to give you the freedom to go anywhere.
That's great.
Yeah, it's
I don't need anything from you.
I feel like I definitely have non-negotiables in like my personal boundaries, but I feel like in my views of the world, I feel like so much of what's going wrong in the world right now is just polarity. People
Literally.
going, I'm on the left and I've got no interest in hearing about the right, or I'm on the right and like vice versa. And I don't know if this is actually staunch in itself, but I kind of always want to sit in the middle.
Yeah.
Like environmentalism, for example. Like I want to have that open mind to go, I see the advocacy, I love the advocacy and I believe in it, but then I also believe that there's like commercial decisions that need to be made for an economy, and there's like two sides to every coin in a way. And so
Seeing life like that is so much
Yeah.
more interesting. Hold them both. That's got me,
yeah.
literally.
And I think about that like in American politics, it's so obvious right now with like Trump versus Kamala. It was almost like you have this person who advocated for society and wanted to bring everyone up and wanted to unite the country and all the things. You have this other person, Trump, who, for all his flaws, knows how to, you know, make economic decisions and be a bully in these kind of big, like, what's the word for like inter countries? Like international. It's really international kind of situations. It's like, imagine if you had someone who was both of them, like combined, and how perfect would that be?
Yeah.
Why do we have to be so there and so here?
Yeah.
It's
It's because if you're in politics, you're pretty staunch about your views. You're like, these are my views. I mean, can we think of anyone that's literally been like, I'm open?
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because
Peter
like
Garrett.
I don't know about knowing a politician like that, but I think that's part of my problem with politics is a lot of the time it is to polarize. Like sometimes they'll completely backflip on what their views actually were just because they want to polarize the other party. And it's really interesting because when people are like, once again, I'm all for like, you know, you do you, boo, like whether you're right, you're left, no worries. But I find it really interesting when people are so staunchly proud of it that I'm like, oh, I'd like to think I'm a centralist in the sense of both sides. There is something to take from both sides. And once again, it's like the more that we tip the scales, and I know masculine, feminine, the more that we, you know, become these staunch feminists, the more that we're fighting like, we're fighting back on men, and it's like, cool, we're just keeping the pendulum swinging.
Yeah, we're
That if
saying
we
we want
actually-
equality, but then we're just hating men.
Yeah, pretty much. And it's like part of me we need to give women understanding that there is a cultural hangover
Yeah.
from what they've gone through. But also another part of me is like, yeah, but behave appropriately.
Yeah, and when does it end? It's like, when can we start fresh? Like,
Yeah.
let's acknowledge the pain, but like,
Yeah, exactly.
fuck, man, like, let's roll.
Yeah. And I think that for me personally, being a woman, I'm like, we've never lived in a greater age to be a woman. So basically go out there and do it. Shake your tail. Do whatever you want to do in that staunch feminism, but you don't need to hate men.
What are your views on like staunch feminism?
Well, I'm just under the impression that like no one's holding me back other than myself. Like I can actually just turns out I can do anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I just think like I've definitely gone through phases of being like men are annoying me a little bit right now. But I've always come back to just being like I think there's a misunderstanding here. I think they're actually a little bit more complex than we think. But then I also think that they're actually quite fucking simple and they require a lot less than us. So I think that people who are staunch feminists, I'm like, you're actually just really sad and I get it. It's okay. But like move through your anger, then arrive at your sadness and then like see what's on the other side of that because it'll just be much lighter.
Yeah, I think that's like, yeah, really well said. And to me, night doesn't hate day and day doesn't hate night.
Yeah.
So it's like, there is both, but I think part of the misconception is in our wanting to be all the sameness, differences aren't honoured. And I think that's a really unfortunate thing is we are different and that's why it's awesome.
Yeah.
Night is different to day. Imagine if it was daytime all the time or if it was nighttime all the time.
Or if it was
It's
just
like,
chicks everywhere.
yeah,
as
it's like
well.
that's
Yeah,
when
we'd
things
be so
actually get
anxious
really
as a society.
I know, and the hormonal and stuff.
Totally. So there's daytime for a reason and there's nighttime for a reason, and yeah, it's sad that those differences aren't honoured.
Agreed. Ali once said, like, guys are emotional, they're just less practiced. I love the idea of being the change you wish to see. Well, I know a few men that are interested in understanding women, but I feel like maybe women are more inclined to go digging there.
You know, Alistair and I have actually had fights about it because I wrote a zillion books on men and he hadn't even read one on a woman, and then like I'd like said to him numerous times, like, dude, you know, because he's like, well, Rihanna, you need to give me this allowance because I'm a man. And I'm like, yep. And I'm giving you allowances every day. When are you actually going to give that back and give me understanding as a woman?
Yeah.
So it's, you know, an interesting little cycle there. But I will say, in his defense, I think that most women research it so that we can get our needs met. Because that's why I researched men.
Yeah.
It was like,
So
I can't work this out.
Yeah.
You know, like, what is the go here?
Yeah.
That I'm like, cool, I need to research men because I cannot work them out.
Yeah.
And I think Alison Armstrong says it really cool when she says, like, a lot of the time when a woman is angry at a man, it's because she's blaming him for not being a woman.
That's exactly it. Turning your boyfriend into your girlfriend. That's something I'm really like trying to be super conscious of. He's not my girlfriend. He's not a chick. He's not here to like talk about certain things that the girls are and like epic.
Yeah.
Like I can talk to the girls and him. I can go and fucking do other great things.
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it does get pretty isolating if we are just together and that person provides all your needs.
Yeah.
All your gossip, all your hairbrushing, all your this, all your that. Like, it gets
Yeah.
pretty weird.
Yeah. You see a few couples falling into that pattern and I'm like,
Yeah, and then them
Expecting
and the dog
everything.
look together, they all look alike, all three of them.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
no one makes one decision. It's just like a
Yeah.
collective decision for everything.
Yeah.
Including
Someone
the dog.
asked me the other day if I have deep conversations with my boyfriend, and I was like, not really. And I don't judge him for it because I don't get that from him. I get it from other people.
Yeah.
And it's probably just going,
Yeah.
you can't be everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I get all these amazing things from you. It's just he doesn't like to talk about gender differences and like, I don't know, the law of attraction and quantum physics. I'm like, that's okay. Like, that's about other cool shit. Like,
Yeah. No, so true.
Yeah, and I think that once again that forces us to be in community
yeah.
because, you know, brothers and sisters genetically aren't supposed to breed, right? And if we get too close to each other, you know, imagine how unhealthy that child would be.
Yeah.
Because they're almost a third person to this entity of one being. Like, you know, the child is either going to assimilate into that and it's going to get really weird, or the child is going to be rejected from that, also really weird.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Cults.
cults. And it's interesting because it's, yeah, it's like we are community beings, and like me being pretty introverted in my own right, I denied it to myself for so long. I'm like, no man is an island except me. Like I'm separate, but it's like you can't be separate if you tried.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I am just really quickly on the gender differences thing. I was thinking about the workplace and how traditionally they've been really masculine places, because that's how society was set up, and men ran the show, and so now women are entering the workforce in ways that we never have before. But the woman is trying to assimilate the man's way of leading and like that masculine archetype of what it means to be someone in charge in like a professional setting. And I feel like there's a lot, and there's this movement at the moment, like I'm seeing it happen, but women are stepping into the power of feminine leadership rather than the traditional masculine leadership.
Yeah.
And that just sparked for me when you said celebrating differences. Because I'm like, that's a man leads in a particular way, and that's amazing, and there's pros and cons, but there's so much that a woman can offer in her leadership as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think though that's one of the things of every time I used to teach an apprentice, and then I like part of the advice was just don't try and be me.
Yeah.
That's the biggest mistake you will make. And also if I'm sick and you do my client or whatever, do not be me, you are not me. So I am showing you the rules. And to me, with every good artistic thing, you learn the rules so you can break them. So you learn the rules, I'll teach you the rules, then you go break them, and that's when you develop a style. And if you never break the rules, you never develop a style on your page, and that's okay too. But it's like you being, even like as a second year apprentice, let's just use the name Mia. Mia as a second year apprentice, if she is Mia, she is going to outdo me any day if she's trying to be me as a whatever. So to me, no matter whether it's your leadership style, your marketing style, your whatever style, be you. You're allowed to be inspired by other people. And I think with leadership, it's like be inspired by people but if you try to lead like someone else, it's a recipe for disaster. No matter the gender. That's a side point. But I think it's really cool for you as a young woman to be seeing these women, and you also get to see, once again, inspiration of how do I want to lead, because you get to see the pros of this, the pros of that, what does it look like if you're being someone else, and then you will get to mesh all them together.
And island in the middle of everything.
People are really starting to appreciate the intuitive nature of women picking up on things that men haven't necessarily picked up on. Things like that, which is really cool.
Yeah, like shout out to women in their like 50s, 60s, 70s who've like led the way of that. And that's not to say there's not still discrimination in workplaces, but I think we're on the right path.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, definitely. I think, honestly, shout out to those women. That's why this is really judgmental, but sometimes when I see the younger generation sniveling, I'm like, just because you can get the right flavour ice cream, you actually have no idea. And, that's not what this is about. Like, but, yeah. I guess that's the interesting thing, though, like the bully example, people will always find something to blame. And I think it's a little bit of a, like, sorry to use the gender reference, but it's a bit of a kick in the nuts to just go for something. So, like, if you're going to have a fight, have a fair fight. In my relationship, I'm definitely more masculine in a lot of aspects. But Alistair has the strengths that I don't have in other areas, and vice versa. That it's like, just because our genitals are aligned that way physically doesn't mean that's energetically how we will interact. But yeah, I think it's a really good point as far as, like, it's just very narrow. And I find that also really interesting in an age where we're sort of getting past gender, that once again we've gotten deeper, like, into the illusion. It's a little bit like the feminism thing, right? It's like the more that you're hating on a man, it's actually not that feminine. It's like you've flipped so far that you're actually behaving quite masculine in order to have your feminine. That I'm just like, the feminine is fucking powerful. And I agree, biologically, physically, we aren't the same, and once again to be celebrated. But I tell you what, in a lot of instances, a woman would scare me more. And maybe I'm just, because I'm so confident and masculine. I mean, maybe different if it's a dark alley and the guy's like, 7 foot and this wide, that I'm like, okay, I actually stand no chance here. But if I'm dueling with someone, I think women are actually scarier. The feminine, when it's fully in its power, it's like,
And then you jump on socials and the algorithm feeds you that constant reinforcement of whatever you're thinking because that's what you're interacting and engaging with.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden it's that channel, back to the channel thing. It's like there's no other channel and all of a sudden I'm way over here on the left and right and there's no way I'm ever finding myself back to the middle.
Yeah. You're like, oh, I need to mix it up. I'll Google Donald or I'll Google
Yeah, I
Kamala
just
or
jump into my phone sometimes and I'm just like flowers and chickens, like playing, literally. Yeah.
ducks and piglets for sure.
Ducks and piggies.
On food, like my things are food channel.
Nice. I've been through.
That's
food.
my
I
like oasis.
It reminds me of a story. I spent a day with Philip. Hey, Philip. Love this man. He's really great. And he's an architect. And I always sort of had this like flirtation with being an architect. And whatever reason, he invited me to spend the day with him. And it was just like, he's just the most beautiful human. And I get there and he's like hosting this morning meeting for all the biddies that were in neighborhood watch, and he's like, okay ladies, and he's like, and he's a member of a choir and he's doing this, and he's like instructing his students, the people that he was mentoring, in a very like but leaving enough room that they had to answer their own things, and like he was just this like really cool human being, and he's done pretty well for himself financially. And anyway, I had this great day. It was really inspiring, and it was at a time where I had cut myself from community because I felt like everybody just wanted something from me, and particularly I had a few men at the time that I was kind to for whatever reason. I was studying at the time, one I lent a book, one I did this and one I did that, and then it was automatically assumed that I was in love with them. And like, but that really thing of like, oh, you just don't know it yet.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, just because I lent you a book, like,
Yeah.
and at that time, it's like
That's
I was in such a fight or flight with study and everything else. It's like relationships was the last thing. I wasn't exactly like, like that. I was just like, okay. And then I went through this thing of like, fuck the world. I just need to do my thing because I feel like everything I was doing at that time was being misconstrued. Anyway, spent the day with Philip. So beautiful, blah, blah, blah. As I was walking out, he was like, hey, Rihanna, do you want to be rich? I was like, yeah, I do actually. Like, as long as my happiness doesn't depend on it. And I have this thing about like always asking wealthy people like, how'd you do it? So I was like, sick, we're going to have this like financial conversation. And he was like, if you want to be rich, he's like, invest in people. And it just like hit me in this way of just like, oh. And then I was like walking out that day of like, I don't want to invest in people. Oh, isn't Philip so beautiful? And that was the best. And like, we walked through Tugun and he's like saying hello to the tradesman who's putting the Christmas lights in the tree. And then we walk in the food works and he's like, good morning, Margaret. Like, it was just like ridiculous. But it really stuck with me. It's like, if you want to be a rich person, invest in people. And it really made me think of like, once again, if you don't invest in your community, whether that's a smile, a kind word, just by being you don't even have to do anything. But if you're going to shut yourself off from community, you won't be very rich. And I mean that in a heart sense.
Yeah.
And then it's really interesting. I was talking to a friend about this the other day, because they assume they have nothing to give. And I was like, no, dude, like, think about all the things that you get. Like, your loving presence, like, is more than enough. But basically they're previously, like, because they've gone through a motherhood journey and et cetera, and they've, obviously given a lot to their kids, and they're just getting on the other side of that of like, who am I and how do I want to give back to the community now, but I've got nothing to give, and all this sort of like really interesting thing that encouraging her to, basically give her presence, and whether or not she's nice to the shopkeeper, she's, whatever the thing is, not for wanting anything back, but then all of a sudden she's like, I met this person, and then, I need a shower screen, and he's a shower screen person. That same thing that is like, cool, because you're willing to give your presence to the outside world. And then the more that, but also we need to give our presence to our inside world. But the more that we're in that relationship, I was like, you can never actually be alone, because when a student is ready, a teacher appears. Someone will pop up. But if we've closed down our heart, then yeah, you are alone.
Yeah, I'm definitely not there, that's for sure. But I've been through stages like that. Where I'm
Oh,
like,
for sure, me
I'm
too.
just fucking fully self-dependent.
Yeah.
Nobody can touch this.
Yeah, 100%.
You did that thing with your mouth, like you were like an old 80-year-old man.
I didn't even know what it was. Neither. I'll do the whole body like that next time.
That's so cool though, because to me it's like, you know, Ram Dass says, you know, when we wake up from delusion, we can no longer as sincerely delude ourselves. And to me, that's what my life has been, is going into delusion. And sometimes it's for 20 years. For 20 years, I was like a rock.
Fucking wigged for 10 years, I
Yeah.
realised.
Totally. And
Like,
then,
I'm silly. Listened to my mind for so long, and I was like, wait a minute. This
totally.
is trying to keep you safe. You shouldn't have listened to those thoughts, even the positive ones.
Yeah. But I think that's really cool. Then you wake up from that delusion. And then, you know what, we are going to slip back into that delusion.
Yeah,
That's part of the
for sure.
game. But then when we remind ourselves, it's rather than 20 years for me, maybe it'll be 10, maybe it'll be
Yeah.
5, maybe it'll be 5 months. And then I'll fall back asleep again. And then I'm like, oh, but then that is what the cool thing about building a community is. The more that you've built that community,
Yeah.
the more that you've got that person that's like, hey, Mia.
They'll wake you up.
Yeah.
Yeah, hold you
totally.
accountable.
Yeah.
And it's almost like healing can be fast tracked as well.
Mm.
Like I
It's more
feel
potent.
no, that's it. Being witnessed. And
Yeah.
that's why I spend so much time just trying to move through things in like the safety of my own room, just like butting my head against the wall.
Yeah.
And then I like open up to community, maybe experience a bit of shame because I'm showing vulnerability. But then I'm like, whoa, I feel a lot less heavy. I'm
Yeah.
not carrying this shit anymore.
That's why Growers was so powerful, though. It was literally that in a nutshell. Like, there's something so profoundly different from, like, if you and I would just do a one-on-one versus then doing it in front of a group of, like, 6 or 7 other women.
Yeah.
Or people, doesn't have to be women. You felt that being uplifted by everyone. It was
Literally.
almost like, yeah, it was just something so profound in that experience.
Yeah.
Mm.
Things that are left in the dark fester.
Mm.
Yeah.
So the more people that you have there, it's like having 6 lights on.
Mm.
Rather than just one. You know, a lot of one-on work can be really great and sometimes to scratch the surface, but some things actually need to be done in community. For especially if that person has an edge to community or being accepted in community, because as you said, it's like, you know, everything's amplified. You go into that big shame thing of like, oh fuck,
Yeah.
but then you actually realize, that wasn't so bad.
Yeah, well, that's
Like
it.
the more we face our own boogeymen, the more we realize actually they're not as big as we thought they were. But when we keep them to ourselves and hide them under the bed, it's fucking terrifying.
Yeah, and when you have a group of people who are like supporting you and it's safe and vulnerable, it's almost like that is heightened.
Yeah, and then you get to see that I'm not the only one with the boogeyman either.
Well, this is it. This is such a good point because I feel like you go through a stage in your life thinking like, this is my shit. Like I am the only one who feels this, thinks this, has depressive episodes, is judgmental, all this stuff. It's just me. I'm just fucked. And then you just sit there and you just go, well, we all experience the same thing or different strains or whatever it is. And you're just like, well, I'm actually not that special.
Yeah.
But I am special.
Yeah, totally. I think that that's one of the coolest things about life is like realizing that you're both special and not special simultaneously. Yeah.
Polarity's literally always and forever.
Mm.
I can't believe it. But yeah, I mean, I'd be really keen to give a testimony.
Yeah.
I would just talk about a little bit about what Growers was to us and like just a quick little who, what, when, where, why. Just also what you're actually going to be offering so that people know. I don't think that it's fucking something that you can get on every street corner.
Okay. So, Growers is a subscription-based group where we commit to spending a night a week together for generally 12 weeks. And part of that commitment is to just like show up for not only yourself, but for the group. That's why it's formulated in that way, because I find if it's too drop in, drop out, there's just not the same propulsion, because part of it is like what we've spoken about. If we're going to amplify the amount of light that we're shining on us as, or giving up just a sense of individualism or whatever the thing is, that I think that commitment is required. That's not to say that you can't miss a week or whatever, but that's fundamentally what it is.
Yeah.
It's interesting because I think it sort of came about partially because of seeing the need for it in the community, partially because I had a lot of people asking for it, and it was kind of like one of those things where I constantly avoided it because I didn't really want to work with groups. But it's basically like you know, it's almost like, you know, when you have those moments where like it's like a tide, right?
Yeah.
The tide is gonna come in and it's gonna go out, and I felt like I was a sandcastle, and the tide's like, mate, like this is where,
happening.
this is happening whether you like it or not. So you either get on board and actually fulfill that because it's whether it's purpose, community, whatever. Either way, something needs to happen there where you're being called to it, but you're being a little bitch and you're like, oh no.
Yeah.
So that was the initial thing, and then the more that I went into it, the more I was like, you know what, this is actually, I'm really curious, and I've always had people around me that have really satiated my curiosity, and I guess I see the hunger of a lot of people that don't have somewhere to go and do that.
Yeah.
So it was like, cool, why not start a group and basically see what happens? But yeah, just to all share experience. And as I said, myself included, just because I lead it doesn't mean that I'm not in it. It's interesting having you ladies here because I find it's really hard to quantify, and it's actually really kind of hard to talk about it. And the way that I joke about it, joke might be a shit word, but is that it's like, it's almost like spiritual book club or mental emotional spiritual book club. So it's like we may talk about books, but we're not necessarily talking about book. Like, you are the book.
Yeah.
And so open your book, let's see your chapters. What are you curious about? What do you want to do?
Yeah.
And then let's open forumly discuss it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's interesting because it's difficult for me to, I guess, quantify the experience, because I think, well, it depends on what that person brings, and whatever energy you bring will dictate how we function as a container, how I function. That, yeah, I'm kind of like, if you're curious and you have curiosity and you want to have a laugh and you want to meet yourself and do that with other people, I think Growers is a really good space to do that. But I'd like to hear your ladies' opinion of whether or not that's your experience of being in it. But how would you describe it?
Yeah, I would describe it as a group of people coming together open-mindedly to create a space to share and grow together through shared experience and curiosity. Yeah, so I think for me, like, I probably initially came to the group to have a group of people to like share curiosity with and to like delve into themes of the human experience in life, whether it was like anger or fear or love or money or success or whatever it was, like these huge prevalent themes that we often just don't get to unpack with other people. And I found it was all of that, but it was also this like really healing experience as well, to go, because there was those one-on-one sessions where you would then be like witnessed by the group, and then the group would come on after and like say words of encouragement or share their similar experiences. It was kind of this like feeling of like being seen, and that was really profoundly healing and validating in a way.
Yeah.
But then it was also really healing to watch everybody else's struggles or themes or whatever was going on for them in their lives, because you got to see that everyone is going through their own thing, and it gave me this injection of empathy, not just for the group but then for like everyone that I kind of came across.
Yeah.
And I feel like since we've stopped and we've done, like we did our, what was it, 12 sessions?
Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of, it feels, like I feel the gap of like whatever it was, that feeling of like jumping on and just like yapping and exploring and discovering and healing and growing.
Yeah.
All right, you Caps.
For me, it was like, it was a fast track to like moving through a lot of shame. That was like the biggest thing I got from that. Just really being like, these are things that I would never say out loud. But then I'm sitting here just going, no one's judging me. I don't feel one little ounce of judgment. All I hear is just full presence from every chick here. So, yeah, it was like, it's just, shame is just one I felt so much in my life. Just literally, we've said it once, but shame for fucking breathing, shame for being alive. It was just like anything that I'd been stumbling on or coming head to head with, I could just bring to the table and just move through it. So for me, it was just not even just, it was healing in action every week. You're just getting better, becoming stronger, feeling more powerful, realizing yourself, realizing just other. And it's just cool seeing you in your power. Just like, I've always seen that for you. It's funny how you say, I wouldn't see myself like, or you didn't want to do groups. I'm like, sure, you're like a Joe Dispenza. Like, don't you think?
Yeah.
Profoundly healing.
Thanks, Poppy. Thank you, mate.
So nice.
Yeah, it was a really beautiful time. I loved having, all you ladies there. And not just open to women, but it just so happened that our first group was women. I think I'll do both. I think I'll do like a mixed group and a women's group. I think it extra helps, like what we're talking about with the polarization between genders, is when each gender gets to witness the other gender in their full vulnerability, and you realize, as much as there's differences and there needs to be celebrated, also they're just a human having a human experience.
Yeah.
So it's interesting, like Alistair said that when he's on mixed retreats and he just gets to see all these women, like whether it's pouring their heart out or doing this or doing that, or he's like, it makes me fall more in love with women of like just how amazing you guys are and just how capable you are. You know, I've got a really nice male clientele, but half the time they're just coming in to have a safe female to be like, you know, I can't communicate with Mrs. and, you know, I really want to. And she's asking me for these things and I want to be able to give them, but I don't know if, like, you know, that you're just like, cool, you're just like laying it out for them and for them to, once again, not just have one woman. It's no different to what we're talking about, our experience when you have a one-on-one. It's all well and good to have that one-on-one, but then for you to take it and assimilate it into the community can be really difficult. But when you've already, like the dream or the premonition, it's like you've already had a practice. It's like, oh, I've already shared it with the community and nobody asked of me. That's not to say that people won't in the broader community.
Yeah.
But you've practiced so that your first experience isn't necessarily shamed, and then you're braver to stand in your courage of, okay, well, if that person's going to ask me, it's actually on them.
So true.
Rather than, oh, you know, when people are like, oh, I told someone something big once and they just went quiet. Or they said, why would you do that? Yeah, which is perpetuating the shame or the this and the that. But it's like, hey, that was actually really courageous of them to admit that.
Yeah.
And if we can hold them in that to be braver or, you know, lessen the shame. But yeah, I think it's blah, blah, blah. It's really cool when both genders get to witness each other in that. But I also understand that just like doing the lower triangle before we do the upper triangle, I think some women do just need to be held in a group on their own.
Of women.
Yeah.
Or that something powerful happens when the chicks come together, just like something very powerful would happen when the men come together. Just like something powerful would happen when we all come together. It's just a different energy, different strain of healing. But I've had the most profound time. Women just understand women in a different kind of way. Well, let's cheers, little queens. Thank you.
Thanks so much for
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for coming all the way from Melbourne.
Oh, pleasure.
Yeah.